Historic events now as BBC2 looks back at the celebrations marking 50 years of Pakistan's independence. The latest releases first on BBC2 in Film 97. First on BBC2, a wronged war veteran tries to prove his innocence. The Saturday matinee begins with I Am a Fugitive from...
Continuing the Saturday matinee now on BBC2, a screen version of a hit Broadway music and another postcard from the country.
BBC2 now opens a new season of The Works. Actor Ray Fiennes and his family talk candidly about their extraordinary mother. Janeway and her crew brave the elements now on BBC2 in the conclusion of a two-part story on Star Trek Voyager. Now on BBC2, in the last programme of the series, Professor Stephen Hawking explores whether there's a single theory embracing everything. BBC2 now explores the legacy of Margaret Thatcher as Alan Clark concludes the history of the Tory party. Lunch isn't all that it's cracked up to be for William Holden and Ryan O'Neill.
Time Watch for BBC2 now, recalling the tough characters and tough conditions of the Klondike Gold Rush.
A Bollywood villain and some new Brits now on BBC2, talking to Network East.
And new in Top of the Pops 2 in 50 minutes. First on BBC2, the coolest guy ever to have worn a polo neck.
Before that, we're sifting through the papers on BBC2. Stepping onto the front line, decisive moments now on BBC2 follows the camera at war.
First on BBC2, it's a date for look. Now on BBC2, it's Alf's party, and he'll cry if he wants to. A battle for a place in the second round now on BBC2 in University Challenge.
Now on BBC2, discover Shakespeare's Macbeth in an English File special.
Quentin Wilson takes a spin in a seductive little sporty number now on BBC2, tonight's Star.
BBC2 now is talking to young people about their beliefs and what they mean to everyday life.
Now, the first of two films today here on BBC2, starring the man himself. He co-stars with Dustin Hoffman in Papillon tonight at 9:30. Now, though, he lines up with Frank Sinatra in Never So Few. Mixing old and new, this is BBC2.
Now on BBC2, a review of a busy week for the press. Now on BBC2, the Cold War, and with Stalin's death, the lethal power games begin, a political race and a military threat. This is BBC2. Powerful performances now on BBC2 from Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. Condemned to a living hell within a brutal prison regime, one man holds onto his dream of a flight of freedom, Papillon.
This is BBC2, entering the animal zone.
Back on BBC2 now, the series that likes a fine car.
Feel the rhythm first on BBC2 with a new series of sound stories. Get digging first on BBC2 for the essential guide to rocks. First on BBC2, whet your appetite. Along with loads of swearing, this is BBC2 on the fiddle, on the pull and on the pop. Fresh comedy from award-winning writers. Now, BBC2 gives you Big Train.
Now on BBC2, a TV first, in the Ozone.
In 15 minutes here on BBC2, the Simpsons are in the grip of gambling fever. First, upfront music news in the Ozone. First on BBC2, Marge and gambling just don't mix.
Earth Story first on BBC2, and dunes are busting out all over.
This is BBC Two, now Monday's News Night, with Kirsty Walk.
Kavanagh and the cause on the ozone in 45 minutes. First on BBC Two, specimen jars at the ready in Heartbreak High. This is BBC Two in the land of the pharaohs.
First on BBC Two, if you've never owned a piece of vinyl, then you're too young to be watching this. Here on BBC Two, we stayed to the end of that session of the UK snooker final, so we're running a little bit later than scheduled. Now Howard Stableford is feeling the heat as we head into the animal zone.
Introducing a night from the natural world now on BBC Two, David Attenborough.
Now on BBC Two in widescreen, if the music doesn't get you, Frank Skinner's jokes will.
Another tale from the storyteller in 45 minutes on BBC Two after Robot Wars.
Are you ready for a ballet classic as you've never seen it now on BBC Two? A daring new adaptation of The Sleeping Beauty in widescreen, introduced by Deborah Buell.
A schedule change now on BBC Two as we go live to the Houses of Parliament for a special service, introduced by Edward Sturton.
Scary stuff now on BBC Two. Are Buffy's worst nightmares coming true?
A new series now on BBC Two widescreen reveals Churchill's Phantom Army, who with stealth and cunning were the inspiration for James Bond. Betrayal, torture and death just a breath away for a British secret agent.